Welcome to Activate Your Soul's Purpose. Let me stop sharing a second so you get to see who I am. Hi, I'm Grace Mosgeller. I'm your life purpose coach and energy healer. And if you're watching this, this is like one of the most important foundational understandings that you can really embrace for yourself between human to human. And if you're really wanting those close connected relationships, if you're really wanting to empower yourself to step beyond your own blocks, if you're really wanting to create your own version of heaven on earth, it starts with the relationship you have with yourself and between God. And that is your soul's purpose. And so this is what this workshop is all about. And do not take this lightly. I mean, take it lightly, have fun with it. But especially if you're one of my private or small group coaching clients, I really invite you to study each one of the personalities as you go through all this. I want you to recognize yourself in here. And I also want you to recognize other people, especially the ones that you might have the most conflict with. And because the more you understand where everybody's coming from, the more you can bring up compassion. And, like what Einstein says, you get to see the big picture, see the relationship from a higher point of view, and then you can solve things in mutually beneficial ways that just empower you and empower others. And this is a win-win kind of relationships. And that's what's really important, especially if you're like going for your soul's purpose, you're doing anything, trying to unlock a business, a spiritual business, or if you're really trying to deepen relationships, heal toxic relationships between yourself, your family, those that you love the most, or you're really wanting to receive more because you've just been giving. And understanding these different, quote, archetypes that I'll be sharing with you is really going to open your eyes. And in a really simple, but yet authentic way, will give you your permission to lean back and be yourself and really expand into the best version of yourself and reach all the goals that you're wanting. So enough about that. Let me start sharing the screen again. Where do I do that? Right here. Right here and right here. So what you're going to learn today, you're going to recognize and align with your authentic, high-performing self. And we want to do that so you can stop battling yourself and others, and you get to leave with full sovereignty over yourself. And once you do that, when you're authentic, it's just, oh, this is me. And you get to manifest more joy, more connection, more intimacy, true wealth and abundance in every life area. Because when you align with yourself, there's no more joy than that. And joy and happiness is that high vibe feeling that heals things that are not, heals toxic relationships, manifest what you really want, which is from this place of joy. And so I view this soul activation as a necessary relationship tool that brings understanding, acceptance, and wisdom. And it really opens you to work, to be, to experience in the flow of spiritual abundance. So most of the time together, we're going to be spending identifying the different characteristics, the different soul personality traits, and then the common conflicts that happen within them and those around you. And if you're one of my private or small group clients, I really want you to start asking yourself, come up with questions so that when we come to your sessions with me, we can get them answered. Because the more you understand this, the more your life's going to go a lot easier. You'll increase that impact. You'll believe in yourself more. And you'll have whatever goal that you're after will unfold at least easy. And then at the end of this workshop, I was going to do this. This is for my inside people. So at this end of the workshop, I'll share with you homework, what you should be doing next. So get a journal ready. Pause this video when you have some insights and you want to write some stuff down. This is deep introspective work. So who's Grace Mosgeller? For those of you who don't know me, I'm a high achieving intuitive empath, and I use my skills to help people grow and evolve spiritually and personally so that they make these major changes in their personal and business life that their heart, their soul is really longing for. And the whole reason, I teach people how to believe in themselves. I teach people how to expand and open up, and to believe in yourself, you have to know who you are. And that's because I needed to know who I was, because I had major self-esteem issues that I struggled with. They were deeply rooted because of severe mental, emotional, and a little bit of sexual trauma that left me so much pleasing other people that I did not even know who I was. And that was a really empty place inside. It was a really sad place inside. I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like I needed to be isolated. I felt like I was bad. I felt like I was wrong. And those are all lies. So if you're feeling any of that here with me, this is the path that you get to go on, right? So what is your soul's purpose? Well, I alluded to it before, but the purpose of your soul is to experience joy and give and receive love just by being yourself. It's an evolution. It's a personal evolution. It's a inside job. It's not a career. It's not a skill or a trade. It's not what you do. It's not your achievements or your accumulations, but it is who you are behind what you're, quote, doing. Something that you just kind of like out of nothing will just start to do. That's your soul, right? And when you're aligned with your soul's purpose, because your inner self you'll feel joy and fulfillment on the inside. And now some of you may be very brain dominant at the moment and not really trusting your feelings, but work with me, mention that to me, and I probably already know it, and we'll do some work to really open you so that you can feel your feelings and you can start to feel the joy of being aligned with your soul. And this purpose is more than a fun fact, right? Because this is when you know yourself at this deep level. That's when you tap into your source of unshakable confidence, of belief in yourself that carries you through all doubts, all distractions, and prevents derailment. And instead of fighting your way through life, you'll be having a purpose, a passion, and a fearlessness, motivation that makes you unstoppable towards your goals. So Patricia, she hired me to because she wanted to increase the engagement and enrollment rate she had with her audiences. She knew that she was delivering more logic and information facts than being real and vulnerable, but she just couldn't really tap into that vulnerability, and that she couldn't allow herself to let go of being in her mind, delivering facts, because that's how she loved us, how she'd always been rewarded in her life was by being smart, right? But that connection piece happens from your heart. So we work together to identify our soul personalities and purpose. And then with classic coaching and energy healing, helped her to embrace these new awarenesses with herself. And that's what we're going to be doing together, whether you're with me one-on-one or in these small groups. And the clarity and the confidence that she found gave her the strength to let down her guard and speak more and more from her heart. and her enrollment rates into her programs started to increase every week, every month that she worked with me. By the end of our time together, she had shifting the branding focus of her business to reflect her true soul's purpose. So like when you're in alignment and you brand your business in alignment with who you really are, that's when the universe starts just funneling you people, right? Because you're like, oh yes, it's like kind of like you're dialed in, you're wired up, right? So these are really, really cool reasons to get to know your soul's purpose. There we go. I did this. Why is it important? So let's just dive into your archetypes. So these are all, I mean, I invite you to, if you're just listening for this part of the workshop, to be sure and gaze at these images, because they're going to show you how you can see for yourself what the different archetypes are, so you can start to really understand people right away without even asking them very many questions, right? So what we're aiming for is finding the higher self qualities coming from a very sovereign, loving place within each of these archetypes. But the sad fact is, because most of us are unconscious and we're in defense, because life here on earth is not fun. It's not easy, and we get threatened, we get attacked, we're in fear so much, so shields are up. And so, but what's cool is when our shields are up, the defensive qualities of each archetype show up as well. And so that's when you know what your lower self is. Then you open and you know that you're genetically wired to be this higher self part of you, which is what your soul really wants, is what you truly want on the inside. So that's what makes this is so cool. And so we're going to discuss both the higher self and the lower self qualities. And the good news is these lower self qualities that we're going to identify, they're kind of rooted in a defensive quality, but you know how strong they are within you because you're living with them, right? And when you bring them to the higher self, and embrace, so that you're using that quote power to be, power to create, power to be that person, instead of from a defensive point of view, you're using it from this soul of offensive, not being mean, nasty, and ugly, but offensive being in standing in your power and glowing and coming from love, right? And this makes you super, super effective in the real world. So let's get out a journal and a pen and begin to really identify. So what did I put it here? What's next? So right here, I'm just going to name these off right away just to begin to get you acquainted. So number one, I chose this picture to demonstrate the qualities of a charismatic leader, someone that's like loves to be in the limelight, loves to be in charge, and is typically fairly good looking, right? You know, because they're meant to be liked by a lot of people. You know, this is just the first broad stroke overview, right? So the second group of people here, we're wanting to look at this lady. And this is what we call a nurturer, a team player, a woman that who's put on the planet to support other people. They're the natural givers, and their sole purpose is to give unconditionally. And they thrive, they love, it's like what they're meant to do. And of course, anything to excess becomes a liability. And so the challenge of this type of person, the person that just loves to give and give and give, is where is that boundary? Where do I stop? And how do I hold it without feeling guilty? How do I hold it without feeling selfish? And a lot of conflicts happen between these two people. And this personality shows this personality how to hold those boundaries. And this personality shows this personality how to be a little bit more unconditionally loving, right? Okay. So I'm just seeding your subconsciousness right now. So number 3, this person, I chose her because she looks this picture because she's teaching, she's organizing. So she is a leader, but look how well put together she is. She's got this chart, everything's coordinated, it's clean, it's perfect. And so these are the archetype I'm trying to explain here. And I have other pictures that'll be a little bit more definitive as well as we move on. But the picture here is organizing chaos, of creating structure and systems to really bring things to create an outcome that's workable in the physical world. This person over here, 3, now let's go to 4. She's one of my favorites because she's like me. This woman's a little crazy, a little wacky. She thinks outside of the box, right? And you can see her in this picture. She's even playing with her fingers. She's got wacky colors. She's coordinated. She's together because she's got that flair. She's very creative. So these are the Einsteins of the world and the Georgia O'Keeffes and the Steve Jobs. And they really expand us all outside of our box. And just as a little heads up, number 4 and number 3 often get into misunderstandings because this person, a classic example is I shared one of my web pages. So this is me. I created a beautiful web page with deep insight and beautiful pictures and whatnot. And I showed it to a friend of mine, a business colleague, that has more of this structured belief system to it. And they're very detail oriented, and creatives can be detail oriented, but only when it's important, right? It's mostly getting that essence out. And what she did was she didn't even say one thing about this beautiful creation that I made, but instead she says, oh, there's a misspelling here and use this phrasing instead of there. So she was crossing my T's and dotting my I's for me. And I could have taken that. In fact, I used to always take that as like a criticism, like you didn't even see me. But when that's her job, she loves by sharing the mismatching, by helping you organize, by keeping you structured. So the conflict between this is if you're too wacky and too structured, this person gets it's not safe. It's like, oh no, there's like too much for her to organize, or she can't get a whole grasp on it. She loses, quote, control. And this person, when her wings are clipped so much from so many rules, she can't express herself and she becomes empty inside, numb inside, unhappy, not knowing why. And oftentimes, if this is a parent, she'll start to become this and hide this part of her. That happened to me, right? And it happens to a lot of people. We'll get more into this as we go on. And so then here's number 5. I chose this picture because you can just see she's on the phone and she's connected. She's just loving, right? And all of us have these qualities, but this is a quality that's like really a lot within her. The other thing that's really cool is this charismatic leader has this deep, deep feeling, love capability within them. They just don't trust it because if they show it, they'll get squashed, right? And so, and then these people here sometimes become afraid of the strong leaders because they feel totally squished, totally blasted out, right? So this is just an overview. So let's go in a little bit deeper. So some of the traits of a charismatic leader. So these are different pictures, all of leaders. So they're very sensual. They're very charismatic. They're very charming, right? They have a and so there's that. They love the limelight and they love power, right? So characteristics, some of the traits. So go ahead and write these down, because I could just give them to you, but then you just file them away in a folder somewhere. But when you write down these things, you're going to understand them more. And also, when you're using a pen on paper, you're accessing your subconscious. So you're really learning at a deep level. And also at the same time, you're also awakening these parts of you. So the traits of the leader, they hate to be told what to do. They won't follow anyone they don't respect. They love the limelight, right? They're very slow to trust other people. They tend to be selfish. This me, right? And they love to win. Sometimes they love to win at any cost, it just depends upon how aware they are and how connected they are with their soul and its purpose. So those people that aren't so connected with their soul, they're out in the world going, look how powerful I am. I'm just going to win, right? They can be very seductive and manipulative. They're naturally charming, naturally charismatic. They're like, wake people up and people will become inspired with them. They have, like I mentioned before, they have a deep, sensitive nature that they often dismiss or hide from, right? But they need it when they're in touch with it, when they really tap into this sensitive, loving, caring part of them. That becomes the fuel, the passion that they will go into battle for and die for. So each charismatic leader, every leader is built to lead using the secondary quality of their archetypes, right? They can be creative, an organizer, a networker, a nurturer, an intuitive healer. I don't have pictures of those up here so much, but I will a little bit later. So let's move on to the, that's the higher self part of a charismatic leader. But the defensive qualities, remember, defense comes up when they feel threatened or their love is absent, right? So if they will walk all over people and dominate, they will scare the skin off a snake. They are the takers of the world, because if there's no love here, but they've got all this power, they're just like, well, you're not going to give it to me. I'm just going to take it. And they can be fully justified narcissists, not even realizing the kind of pain or what they're doing in. And not oftentimes, the soul evolution of a leader, well, everybody has it, but in particular, everybody's got a victim archetype within them. But the leader kind of comes out really, really strong, victim, victimizer, so that they can see the opposite effects of their actions as they start to evolve and become aware, into victorious, which is the higher self, where you're leading with love, leading as a true servant leader with your heart fully open, connected to your soul. So when a leader is overwhelmed or stressed or tired, they can fall into this poor me part over them, right? Remember, this is the other side of the real sensitive part, and that they'll just need time to regroup. And unless your secondary is that of a super high achiever, and instead you'll just kind of feel that way, and then just kind of like, yeah, no, can't go there. You'll pull up your bootstraps and just carry on anyhow. So I want you to pause this video if you're watching this and take some time to write down the awarenesses. If you need to back up the video and to get just to re-listen to stuff, I really want you to write down, what do you recognize in yourself? What you recognize in others? And also kind of keep a tally of what the traits of a leader are, so you can begin to start noticing this in real life. Like, what's that person doing, right? Okay. And then when you're ready, let's turn the video back on. So let's move on to the next one. So the next person I put down was this team player. So these are just images of team players. And I picked women. Men can do this as well. But they're put on the planet to support and nurture others with service. That's their job. They're warm, they're soft, they're supportive. They feel comfortable, comforting, and they're a safe place where you can just rest and be accepted. And they're the natural givers. So if it's a man, he's just one of those teddy bear kind of people. He's got like a big chest. Sometimes they're a little bit overweight, small hips. Sometimes they're shorter. They can be tall, but for the most part. And they've just got that big open smile because they feel good inside, right? And so some of the traits, and if it's a woman, they typically have big chests, they have big breasts, right? And you'll find them as a networker, as the person who's doing the party, is putting together the party, who is just supporting and giving and giving and giving and giving. Their caregivers. So some of the traits of a team player when they're in defense, remembering when they're not giving from love. So they'll have a hard time with boundaries. And this is because they love to give so much. And they can become super codependent because when they're stressed and they're not, and when a team player is stressed, it's because they're not receiving love and they're not feeling loved. And so when they're stressed, they'll just give more. And if they aren't appreciated, they'll often feel resentful, taken advantage of, but they won't show it because they won't show it, but instead they might become passive aggressive or tend to martyrdom. And martyrdom is where you sacrifice, I gotta get this thing going, sacrifice yourself for the sake of principle. A team player will take mistreatment with, good-hearted mistreated, right? Until they're worn out or they've had enough. And a lot of times at this, they've got a lot of anger that they really don't want to show. And especially they won't show in front of anything related to power, like their family, their bosses, any kind of the person that they're really serving. But it might come out, their anger might just kind of slip out because anger is a really strong life force energy. And if you're hiding it, it's in your body and it just kind of shoots out. And maybe there's some road rage, right? Or the silent cussing to yourself that you won't say out loud. So there's that one. So go ahead and go ahead and pause the video and write down some of the qualities of this team player. See if you recognize this in yourself. And when you're ready, or if you recognize in someone else, and then when you're ready, turn the video back on and let's move on to the next one. These achievers. So knowledgeable achievers. So these are the doctors, lawyers, policemen, politicians, accountants, CPAs. They love to organize chaos. They provide structure, systems, and strategy. They love charts. They love rules. They love being on time or early. They love details. And they're very neat and organized and will notice when details are out of place or overlooked. They tend to stay in the same job or profession for their entire life. And because they're so organized, and they're into mastery, so they'll just become super good at one or two things. And because of that, they can amass great wealth because they're very disciplined and they love routine. So go ahead and write down if you notice any of these qualities within yourself. And I picked these women because there's charts behind her. And she looks pretty together to me, right? And then here's this amassing great wealth. Yes. So some of the other traits of an achiever, the lower self side of them, and you can take this one way, that they tend to overachieve, meaning they'll earn a zillion degrees in their lifetimes and certifications. They'll climb the corporate ladder. Many times they'll not even celebrate their wins, right? And then after a lifetime, they can look back and kind of go, well, I achieved all this, but the question inside of them is, when will I arrive? When can I stop achieving? So this is on the lower self, when you're not really aware of how you're here to love in the world, and really experiencing that joy and the fulfillment that comes when you're aware and aligned and coming from your soul of loving to organize with love and understanding the different personalities, so you can help them lead, so you can help them create and bring to market, so you can help them love in a very structured, organized way that they may not be strong with, right? So traits of achievers: they're super self-disciplined, they're drawn to master, like I mentioned before, their chosen favorite, their chosen profession, their favorite art. It could be yoga, could be martial arts, solo sports. And when they're stressed, they're going to micromanage. They're going to become obsessed with following the rules. And even if it doesn't make sense, they like to be in the driver's seat. They love control. They can seem cold and calculating because it's like, just the facts, man. The facts say this, and the rest is out the door. But underneath it, they're just culling. They're just providing structure and organization. And underneath it is this big, huge, caring heart. So go ahead and spend some time writing down some of the traits that you recognize in yourself or in someone else of an achiever. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to go back and keep writing it down. But one of the things, if I got a picture that shows us in here, I don't. But one of the things that you can tell about an achiever is they've got a big, strong line, a square jaw. They often are have really great posture. And they often are just compact. They have great posture, compact, and a square jaw. There you go. And they look really super confident. Okay, so let's go back to we did this one. Now we're going to go on to a sensitive, intelligent person. So remember, this is a person on their own that doesn't have very much leadership qualities in them, that has a lot of big, true, sensitive nature. They're gentle, they're intuitive, and they're loving just because that's who they are. They're deeply compassionate and accepting of other people's limitations, and can almost be angelic in nature. And you can find the true sensitives working with babies, working with plants, working with animals, or those that are troubled or traumatized that make really, really good coaches. But the cool thing about being a coach, if you're on this call, you have these qualities within you because it's the other aspect, strong aspect of a leader. Because a leader, remember, needs to tap into the passion that only love can create, love for the underdog, love for a cause that they'll go into battle for and die. And so this picture here is a leader. She's a coach, but her secondary quality coming out, she's probably got, is in this picture, I chose this picture for, is the oozing of that love quality within her. So oftentimes people with this much love within them, when they just go through life with them, makes them seem weak. Right. And that's one reason why a charismatic leader will not let themselves be that vulnerable and tap into that. But the truth is, love is the strongest force on earth. And when they tap into that life force, they have the most power on the planet to create change. But until they understand that viscerally, they tend to be overpowered by the stronger archetypes and feel super powerless. I want you to really bring that in. And each one of you in here has this within you, because each one of you watching this is a leader of some sort. So on the lower self side, they could come across as needy, helpless, victim-like, and fearful. And under stress can dissolve into poor me. They may need to take some time and just chill out. But deep inside, and I'm just going to say this again because it's so important, but deep inside this reservoir of love, when they tap into it and really grow it on inside, that makes them the strongest force on earth. Excuse me. Okay, so go ahead and spend some time writing down any insights, any qualities, any ahas that you had about the sensitive people of the world, and what you recognize in yourself, what you recognize in others. And so go ahead and pause this video, and then when you're ready, turn it back on and we can go on to the next step, which is the traits of the creative idealist. So these people are the wacky, spacey, and uber creative Einsteins, Steve Jobs, and Georgia O'Keeffe's of the world. They hate to color within the lines, and they see the world from an entirely different perspective than most. They are natural innovators, inventors, and they create magnificent works of art. They live in a weird sort of organized chaos that other archetypes often can't follow, and they become confused. And another thing that happens is these people are so smart. It's like they have these little satellites out that are just collecting information. And they can have a hard time deciding what to say when someone asks them a question, because they see so many solutions to one problem all at once. And it's like, well, what pathway do you want? So when you see them, you can, I don't really have a good picture. They appear pretty wacky, right? And that they're bohemian in nature. They also are very, very, very tall and skinny like, because they carry their energy high. They are connected to higher planes of consciousness, and that's what makes them so smart. What else can I say? They appear outlandish, crazy, scattered, and when stressed, will leave their body, will run away or distract themselves out of their body. And I really want to touch on that a lot. Like my son was talking to me, Mom, I have such unreasonable anxiety. And when I looked at him, he's got a lot of this creative idealist within him. And the teachers and mentors that taught me about these archetypes have said that um, the creative idealist is because they carry themselves so high, they don't feel grounded, they don't feel connected. And that's a really scary, ungrounded, untethered feeling. And so there's always a, a little level, or little to high level of anxiety within them. And oftentimes they have a really hard time bringing their creative ideas into the world. You know, and like for me, that happened to me a lot. Is I had all these, and I created several programs, complete side to side, up, down, and sideways, but I never launched it. I never got out of the starting gate. I was this big, huge, powerful racehorse, and the gate opened, and I stayed still. Everybody else went forward. And that's what will happen when a creative idealist gets really hasn't really accepted or allow themselves to have the support to bring their ideas to reality. You know, and that's why they a creative idealist. I'm going to be sharing. It looks like I'm going to be sharing these. The creative idealist really goes together well with the achievers, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Creative idealists tend to have a rich inner life, right? They tend to they often have a hard time living in the present moment, because if they do, they're just doing this whack out thing, right? They tend to have lots of piles of ideas around them. And they tend to be they kind of have a soft jawline right here that's not really square. They tend to be tall, skinny, and they do really, really well in school. But oftentimes they get lost without somebody who recognizes and keeps them in a structured sort of way. So go ahead and spend some time writing down your awarenesses. Pause the video. Who do you recognize? Do you recognize yourself, or you recognize someone else within that? And then when you come back, we're going to really dive deep into the common personality conflicts between each of these personalities. And this is really super important. Okay, so welcome back. So I'm going to explain some of the common personality conflicts, because when you start to do this, when you start to understand how people are wired, when we don't understand how people are wired, it's easy to judge others and punish them because they don't think like you do. And yeah, no, they don't. There's 5 different distinct types of people, right? So one of the most common personality conflicts is between the charismatic player and the charismatic leader and the team player, right? And remember, so these two are wired, they're meant to be together. But when you were in defense, and when we're in defense, that means shields up, there's no love here, I can't relax and be myself, I can't let you see my soul qualities. And so I'm going to hide my love. And this person's she doesn't really hide her love because she's built to love, right? So she's just going to give to the charismatic leader. And if the charismatic leader doesn't know how to receive love because she got squashed herself and her family of charismatic leaders, which I'll talk about in just a second. So she's not feeling there's any love. And so she's like, pure logic, like, okay, I need to lead, I need support, I'm here, and it's all about me, and these people are here to support them. But when that becomes unbalanced, this person becomes resentful, and they're not giving gratitude or giving kudos, or giving them the space and allowing them, because like a true leader, a servant leader, make sure that the people that support them, the people that they're leading, get everything they need in mind, in body, and spirit. They have all the resources in a higher self. That's their job, right? So when love is absent, with a charismatic leader, you just take what you need when you need it because it wasn't going to come, right? And when the team player, when the child was a child and felt her love wasn't received, it's an unconceivable blow to her life purpose of who she really is. And she's like, it does not compute. How can they not know that this is love? And so she just gives and gives to love them into existence. But when it never happens, and this is common for all the personality types, this is the source of kind of like, I must not be good enough. There must be something wrong with me. Right? But these two personality types are meant to heal to wholeness together, where the charismatic leader gets loved so much that she actually feels it and believes it and starts to open love to herself. And so she opens her heart. And this person on the team player, the so heart held, can love them unconditionally so that this can happen. But the challenge for this person is to hold the boundaries and still love them unconditionally. And that's why I'm so passionate about soul-to-soul communication, because that's how you do it, right? Can you imagine a planet of leaders that weren't takers anymore, that they were pure servants? They were here for the people, to love, to serve, to provide. So that's what this takes, is understanding this dynamic. And this person here, she's modeling boundaries. She's modeling for this person, for the team player, so that the team player can understand that she is loved, and she doesn't have to give away all of herself in order to receive it. So that's a common personality conflict. So I'm going to have you pause the video right here. I didn't put a sign. Well, I guess I'll do this right here. Go ahead and pause the video and journal and write down questions, because I know this is going to bring up questions and that you can ask during our time together. Or you can also shoot an email or a Voxer to me. And then, so when you're done, go ahead and we're going to talk about another common personality conflict that I alluded to before. So welcome back. The common personality conflict, which is this achiever that loves to organize chaos, and the creative who is chaos, right? So this knowledgeable achiever, without understanding these soul personalities, like this happened to me because my dad was I was this, and my dad was super, like, this is cherry pie compared to my dad. Was a super strong controlling dictator leader, right? And he had just come from the war. He had just come from the Depression. I'm a little older than most people, but he saw firsthand how the creative wacky types didn't survive. And so he made rock solid, sure, bulletproof, shielded me in to be sure I had the tools to organize, to survive, to create, to really conform to his nature, because he was a survivor. And he ended up thriving too, because he was the guy that follows the routines. And so, but to a person that's not understanding that they're just being loved because they want to contain them, they want to give them some structure, they want to help them, make them feel safe, they want to make them feel productive in the world, they view it, and that's what happened to me and a lot of my clients that I work with. They shut this part of them down to please the parent, because that love equals pleasing the parent, right? But then later when you grow up, you just kind of have a little bit of resentment towards them because your wings are clipped and you can't be yourself. And so this relationship can really flourish nicely, but you have to be super aware. So this person is put on the planet to help this person feel safe with some boundaries. But the challenge for this person is to understand their wacky nature, and then to put a boundary around their wacky nature and then expand it in increments. So they're just not out into the expanse of life. They're not tethered. They have no focus. They have no strategy. They have no purpose, right? And so that's how that's how this person helps this archetype, helps this archetype. I know this archetype is here to entertain them. That's one thing, right? And it when they get a little too wacky, it makes them a little nervous. They like to watch them from a distance, like all the comedians. Like, I do not know a knowledgeable achiever who doesn't like comedians. They would never be a comedian, but when they love to be entertained by comedians. Just kind of, start noticing that out in the world. It's kind of fun. But so this person's put on the planet to create wild new ideas, like the Einsteins and the Steve Jobs, the innovation and the wild works of art, and allow themselves to be free. But they, like I said before, the KA, she needs this person to help her feel safe and to help bring her innovations to market, to bring into the real world. And so here's a story I forgot to mention. So I was working with a coach a couple of years ago. And she was trying to decide if she can focus on leading retreats in exotic places or gather the niche of entrepreneurs that she served in her area for lunch and to help them learn business coaching. So working with the personality types, she discovered that the primary way that she loved to lead was with connection, gathering people, and having a good time. The big aha that she shared with me, that it came up, right, was that her first retreat that she made, she just started on a lark. She was just like pulling by the seat of her pants. I think I want to do a retreat. Let me ask everybody, right? And for her, it was easy to fill and make money with. With the lunch and learn, the local thing felt like it was herding cats and pulling teeth. So this is where she discovered how these personality types really helped her make decisions and what the focus of her business is. So there's real practical applications to this. So go ahead and pause the video and write down your awarenesses, any kind of questions coming up. And then when you're ready, we'll go on to the next personality type. So we did that one. And common personality types between the achiever, the knowledgeable achiever, the structured, systematic, matter of fact, that just the facts man, and the emotional intelligence specialist, the person that's super sensitive. And remember, the super sensitive is a huge part of the leader archetype. And you remember, you can have these qualities within yourself. And hint, that's what we're going to be doing first, is healing these qualities within yourself. You'll also be understanding of people outside of you a lot more, and know what to give them. So remember, this knowledgeable achiever values strength, order, and achievement, does not tolerate any poor me feelings or behaviors. So if they get prone to that, they're going to pull up the bootstraps and go at a frustrating position over and over and over again. They're just going to lift up and just kind of go, okay, I'm going to do this. I know it's going to work. It worked in the past, and you're just going to force, or control, hoping for things to change, but without acknowledging and finding compassion for the part of the sensitive part of you that's got their feelings hurt, that feels betrayed, that feels like they're not heard or understood, they're going to deny this part of them. And when you deny this part of them, part of yourself, there's a feeling of emptiness inside. And you can achieve and achieve and achieve and win and win and win, but you're just getting tireder and more exhausted. And it's like, really, am I going to do this again? Nothing seems to change. So when you can find compassion, understanding, and acceptance, because remember, you're a leader and you've got this within you for this part of yourself, and make it feel safe and heard and free to love and unleash your passion and free to be vulnerable, which is a really scary thing for the control person, right? So that's the healing that you'll, when you're ready, that we'll be able to do together in our time, whether you're in that small group or you're working with me, for a longer period of time, one-on-one. Okay, so another common personality conflict is between the charismatic leader and the sensitive type. So this is very similar to this one, right? So the charismatic leader so I guess I'm going to say the difference. So the charismatic leader will step all over this person, whereas the knowledgeable achiever will pull up the bootstraps and just go against it and try harder and try harder. This one, the achiever part of you will just pretend it doesn't even exist and just shut it down. And it's like, yep, no, I'm going forward. But when this part of you really embraces the sensitive nature, like I said before, and allows yourself to slow down and be in the moment and be present, you become a magnet, you become a safe zone. And that's magnetic. And because you're naturally charismatic, you're a natural born leader, of becoming a safe zone and allowing your soft side out to become vulnerable. Vulnerability is really a strength. You're going to be more attractive to your family because you'll be real. You're going to be more attractive to clients and customers, and you're going to really, live your purpose, which is bringing people together for a common cause and leading them in the direction that you're wired to, whether it's creating structure, allowing them to be creative, allowing them to network and bring people together, whatever that is for you. So go ahead and pause the video and write down the awarenesses, any questions that are coming up. So I really want to bring you back to this slide. We went through the 5 personalities of the soul, and we're a blend of each one of them. And when you can really understand this, the relationship between yourself and others from this perspective of these soul personalities, not only are you going to unlock your true authentic nature and feel happy and unstoppable inside, you're going to be able to understand people more. And because when you understand people more, especially as a leader, you'll be able to help them. You'll be able to serve them. So our work together is to really identify these traits within ourselves, and then identify the conflicts within ourselves. The biggest ones I delineated within here, and then integrate and heal so that you're working together, so that you can be working from your heart. So remember, energetically, where our soul is the part of us that's pure love, that's connected to the divine, that is our relationship with God, with our source, whatever that divine source is for you. And our soul speaks to our heart. Our soul does not speak to our brain. That's why it's so important to do the meditations that I gave you and drop down, train yourself to trust your heart again, train yourself to feel in your body again. Because so that as we do that, we can heal these mismatches within you. So you're not fighting against yourself and punishing yourself or limiting yourself somehow, beating yourself up. Instead, you're turning everything around to support you, to support that supports your purpose. And that's how we're wired to be energetically. So remember, soul speaks to our heart. And then when we listen to our heart, like Tom said, he says, she's going to listen to her heart. It's going to tell her what to do. When we do that and then engage our brain to solve problems directed from our heart, to use our super smart brains to support the decisions and actions and choices of our heart, that's when we become fully sovereign. That's when we really start to align and become empowered. And I really view this as a really quick way to really become empowered, to really get those goals that you want, to make money working for yourself, make a lot of money, to have those relationships that are very rewarding and activating, to have the health, to have the energy, and to live and be on purpose. I'm asking you to watch through this at least once a month, because each time that you look at this, you're going to become aware of another dynamic within this relationship. But for sure, I want you to be sure that you've written down what you think your soul personality is, and some of the higher self, lower self qualities of each of the soul archetypes, so that you can really begin to do this deep work that you signed up for in a really quick, immersive, very soulful way. Bring your questions to our sessions. Sending love, light, and laughter your way. Have a most marvelous day.